How do you have that?
Maybe before things escalate here.
Hello, all my wasteland wandering frangulums, and we're back again, the episode 7. But in this episode, proves once and for all that in the Fallout universe, trust is rarer than pre-war toilet paper. This is the episode where everyone says, relax, it's just a simple exchange, which in Fallout language translates to at least 3 people are about to die horribly. The handoff is basically 30% tension, 30% double cross, 20% people lying through their teeth. This is another one of those everything is about to go wrong episode, and like all other episodes, I loved it. But before I get any deeper into my review and breakdown, if I could quickly ask you to like and subscribe and to share and to hit the notification bell. It really helps a brother out, and it goes a long way. So grab your rat away, come with me into the wasteland as I review episode 7, The Handoff. Stephanie escaping Canada because Canada is apparently the evil one in this show, which is super duper ironic. They're running through a forest and trying to reach the border. I also need to make a correction. A few episodes ago, Cooper in the armor, I said he was in the Brotherhood of Steel, but he's actually in the UMSC, which is the United States Marine Corps.
1, 2, 3, 4, I love the Marine Corps!
That are trying to get to the States or something like that. The mom doesn't make it, and when you finally get a good look at her mom's face, you see that it's actually Natasha frickin' Henstridge. I actually had a huge crush on Natasha Henstridge back in her Species days. She's absolutely fucking gorgeous. So anywho's, we see that Steph is just pretty much cutthroat. Her mom herself just said, do whatever you can do, whatever it is you need to do to survive and get out on top. And Steph obviously took that to heart because she is one cutthroat lady.
By handoffing, I don't mean what you're probably thinking. So the episode revolves around the idea of a handoff. But you know it's bad when everyone brings a gun, no one can trust anyone. Camera keeps cutting to people, casually shifting their weight like they're hiding a Fat Man launcher in their coat.
This beauty is called the Fat Man. It's a shoulder-fired catapult that launches a miniature nuclear warhead and...
Classic Fallout logic. We'll meet in a neutral location. There are no neutral locations in the wasteland. If the ground isn't radioactive, the people definitely are.
Peace, freedom, and bacon and eggs.
This is the first time we've seen anything about Stephanie's dark past and her rising tensions. We see her backstory connected to an episode or two ago when Chet found her Canadian ID. And yes, the annexing Canada idea still upsets me a lot. But it is from the lore. In the first 2 games, it's a thing that happened in the lore of Fallout 1 and 2. Though I actually did not play those games. All Fallout fans will excoriate me to know that I didn't play every single Fallout game.
Doesn't have the entire rest of cornucopia of information I have.
Prior to the Great War, Steph and her mom lived Uranium City internment camp with other Canadians. 2 seconds after her mom's giving her permission to go kill anyone that she needs to. Then she gets to the border, kills the border guard before entering the state. So that's 2 people she took out just like that. At the Vault-Tec facility, Lucy still wants to take her dad away, but her dad, Hank, is being so annoyingly agreeable with everything and even going along with it like in a polite way. Like, sure, my little sugar bomb, if you want to end all this, there's a machine down in the basement. All you gotta do is press this button. Playing mind games with her by being so agreeable. I mean, there's still a cute moment. He actually tells her, hey, let's take the golf cart down to show you what I'm talking about. And she's driving and he's on the passenger side. And it's funny because Lucy doesn't even know what a golf cart is.
What's a golf cart?
So Hank's teaching her how to drive on the way there. So it's a cute little moment. He talks about wishing he had a normal life and that they pretty much did, but he ruined that. And then Lucy still has that moment of, okay, if these little brainwashing chips stop people from being violent and from other people being hurt, maybe it's not all that bad of an idea. And she even said it out loud, but at the same time she still's like, well, it's still wrong. She even mentioned taking the chips and using them on the Legion, as we haven't seen the Legion in many episodes, and there's only one episode left. Which leads me to believe that they're going to be a bigger part of Season 3, which has already been confirmed. Ghoul Maximus Thaddeus, as they get into the rundown New California Republic, which has been abandoned. Thaddeus, who you can see, immediately looks up to the ghoul and he's buddy up with him. Does he want his nose to fall off? But it was just funny to see Thaddeus. Maybe he thinks, well, that could be me in a couple hundred years. They're heading to the Lucky 38 in order to save Lucy. Thaddeus says they're going the wrong way, but they need to go to the NCR camp first. The only way to save Lucy is to cross the New Vegas Strip, so they need to kit up with weapons. The ghoul asks Maximus why he has the cold fusion relic, because for whatever reason the Maximus is just kind of holding it in his hand. And Maximus wants to give it to Lucy because she's a good person. The handoff is kind of referring to the cold fusion relic and how it's been handed off so many different times. And considering Cooper and his wife were the ones that took it out of Hank. Considering Cooper and his wife Barb were the ones that took it from Hank's neck, Cooper's literally the first person to take the cold fusion relic and hand it off to Cooper in the Lucky 38. And he's actually having a conversation with Steph. So Cooper and Steph crossed paths hundreds of years ago. Steph, who was working as a maid at the Lucky 38, actually helps take passed out Hank McLean out of the room. Cooper gives her a nice big tip, and Steph actually asks her a bunch of questions about working at Vault-Tec, wondering if she could get a job there or even get into a vault. And Cooper basically just warns her they're not really all they're cracked up to be, and hopes that they're not even necessary. She meets with Representative Welch, who we saw in a couple episodes when she was at the award ceremony, and she was also outside of the casino where she was being pushed out and Cooper helped her up. Turns out she actually went to jail, but he bailed her out. He still supports people like her, even though she doesn't make it easy, as she lacks a real personality and charisma and is able to sell her message as good as someone like Cooper would. He tells her that Vault-Tec is looking to trade the cold fusion for the bombs they'll need to start the war, and what she would do with the cold fusion instead. She tells him that she'd give away to the public and offers to give it to her, although he will need assurances. She then sets up a meeting with Cooper and the president.
But don't become too attached too quickly.
The Ghoul Maximus and Thaddeus pick out some weapons from the NCR stash. Thaddeus keeps trying to make conversations with the ghoul about being ghouls, and then he shows him that gross little new mouth that was growing out of his shoulder that we saw in the trailers. The ghoul looks kind of shocked and doesn't really have an answer about if that's normal or not. Maximus asks the ghoul why he's helping. Ghoul just says that it's a transactional moment and that if he wants to get Lucy back to using the weapons, using the weapons in this room, he'll have to give him the cold fusion. Cooper gets the cold fusion back again. He shows Maximus the NCR armor. Maximus' face lights up. So once he sees that armor, he just hands over the cold fusion. So another handoff back to the original person who handed it off. We get a look at the Gauss rifle, which is in multiple different Fallout games in different types of styles. The Gauss rifle is a ranged weapon. I don't use these Gauss weapons a whole lot because you actually have to charge it up a little, and it's kind of annoying when you're being attacked. You can't just press shoot over and over. You have to hold shoot and then let go. It can get annoying, especially if you have a Deathclaw or someone chasing after you and you're trying not to get swiped to death. Maximus finds an M79 grenade launcher. Thaddeus, he takes out what looks a lot like the hunting rifle from Fallout New Vegas, even complete with the tape around the handle. Norm's apparently been knocked out for about 2 weeks. He finally wakes up, and then Ronnie, Clark, and Pete are trying to discuss what to do with him. Ronnie was the guy that choked him out, and he thinks that it's pretty sure the Vault-Tec handbook says impersonating management is to be punishable like death, and the other two just agree, like, all right, I guess that's it, we'll just have to kill him. They see that Norma's awake and then they knock him out again with a giant thing that looks like it could have caved his head in. Steph is just kind of so mean that Chet barely can even talk to her. But finally he gets up the courage and asks, well, why are we getting married? Because Chet had no idea that they were getting married. But all she does is snap at him saying that she's working. While he's doing the dishes, he discovers Woody's glasses in the bottom of the garbage disposal, which is a pretty big F up on Steph's part. I guess she threw him in there, but why would she throw them in there particularly? Wherever they did with Woody, why did she just take his glasses? Why not just leave them on him? Why did she take them and then haphazardly throw them in the sink? I guess maybe she thought that she had actually crushed them properly in the garbage disposal. He asked her if she's seen Woody lately. She just tells him, like before, that she's sent on a leadership program in Vault 31. Wherever the hell he actually is, who knows? Is he dead? I don't think he's dead. I feel like he might not be dead. But kind of like a dumbass, Chet breaks the glasses up and then puts them all the way through the disposable so they get crushed to pieces. Thus, no more evidence.
Now you've learned how to be a better you.
In Vault 33, showers and flushing the toilet is outlawed. Yet in 32, Steph still has lots of water, but she just doesn't want to give it to them. Which Steph's just gone full on POS. In her office, Betty has a wall safe to find Hank's keepsake box. We don't actually get to see what's in this keepsake, but she drops it off at the inner vault space where her and Steph have their secret meetings. I guess she thought that Betty was just going to drop it off and then take off, but no, she was hiding in the dark. Betty stops her and asks her to give her word to share the water production between the two vaults. And whatever Steph is up to, she wants nothing to do with it. But instead, she just wants everyone to live in peace, which Betty's not wrong. There's some shady things going on about Betty, but at the same time, it almost feels like they were trying to misdirect. In the end, all the Betty wants to do is for the good of everybody. They made her seem somewhat shady in season 1 because she didn't like that Norm was sniffing around other vaults. But at the end of the day, Betty still just wants what's best for everyone and wants everyone to live in peace, and there's nothing wrong with that. But Steph is like, nah. The Ghoul, Thaddeus, and Power Armor Maximus make it through Freeside, and it attracts a lot of positive attention as they're strolling in slow-mo through the street. Thaddeus is surprised that everyone is staring. Ghoul knows why they're noticing. As soon as they see the NCR logo on Maximus's armor, everyone cheer and support them, telling them to kill those Deathclaws and bring back the NCR. I guess a lot of people love the new California Republic. They're basically almost all but disbanded at this point.
Oh.
The way he reacts to it is just kind of funny. Thaddeus is confused and begins rambling about it being normal for ghouls. I'm not sure what it is about, but at the same time, I was confused myself as to why is it that his arm is already rotting off when he's only been a ghoul for a little while. The ghoul has been one for years and years and years, and the only thing that's ever fallen off is his nose.
Prolonged radiation exposure may transform those above ground into decrepit, rotting beings.
Well, the answer to that question is because his nose didn't fall off, but his arm did, because he's actually a super mutant. He just doesn't know it yet. That inhaler that the snake oil salesman gave him in season 1 to help with his crushed foot was actually filled with FEV, forced evolutionary virus, which is something that wasn't all that clear at the time. I don't believe Thaddeus knows that he is a mutant. He still thinks he's a ghoul.
Without naming names, this episode does a great job of reminding us how one character is way too calm, another character is absolutely planning a betrayal, and someone is learning in real time that morality is a luxury item. Also, shout out to the NPC energy in this episode. Background character standing around like, I have 1 line, 1 bullet, and 90% chance of dying. True Fallout immersion. Hip hip hooray to the NCR. Trust is a myth. This episode is Fallout at its most honest. Deals don't matter. Promises are temporary. And the handoff isn't about what's being exchanged. It's about who's going to betray who first. Lucy is in her yellow dress now that her dad put in her room when she first got there. Lucy seems to really like mashed
Potatoes.
and it tastes like it did in the vault. Then we see brainwashed Biff, aka Uncle Rico. Lucy asks if he remembers her, but he only remembers her from earlier. He doesn't remember when they first met at the ranger camp, and he said that he'd lived there for 25 years, so he has no recollection. But she tells him that she does understand and that one side enslaves and crucifies people, and the other is vaguely problematic before actually cuffing him to the oven door, because Hank burnt his hand, and while she's helping him with it, she takes off one of his handcuffs, and we're thinking that, alright, she's fully giving up on what her plan was. But no, she only unlocks one and then relocks him to the oven door, and then steals his Pip-Boy so she can get into the mainframe room. But she does thank him before she leaves for being a good father, because she's too smart to fall for his twisted logic. Back to Norm for another quick scene. He's been knocked and tied out, but Claudia unties him and wakes him up, and they need to take off. But before they escape, he talks into the radio trying to contact Lucy and tell her that she's still alive, as well as his father, to find out what's happening to the vaults. Ronnie and the rest of the executives arrive after, cutting off their escape. So now we're left with the cliffhanger with Norm as only one episode left, so how are they going to resolution that one? But you also remember that Norm has no idea what's going on with his dad right now, other than the fact that he was kidnapped. So he has no idea what Lucy knows about how his father actually is, which is a thing that we may not learn until season 3. We're in the middle of the wedding proceedings as Davy proceeds over the wedding, the funny, goofy Davy guy with the mustache. But during the vow, Chet finally grows a pair and refuses to say, I do. He tells everyone about finding Woody's glasses in the garbage disposal. But Davy asks, where's the glasses? Davy asks where the glasses are, and he doesn't. And he doesn't have them on him because stupidly he grinded them in the sink with a disposable. And attempting to continue with the ceremony, he blaming cold feet. But then Chet whips out the ID. But then Chet takes out the ID that shows that she's Canadian and that she wasn't even born in Vault 31, that she's 200 years old. So somehow Steph got into one of the cryo sleeps and managed to be asleep for 200 years. But the crowd is shocked at the first two accusals and then break into a rage because they're Americans. They're so jealous of how amazing and better of a country Canada is than them. So that's why they got so upset. Steph runs away from the wedding in her wedding dress and barricades herself in her office. So what exactly are the vault dwellers that are now chasing her and banging on the door attempting to do? We're not too sure yet. On the strip, the Ghoul and Maximus enter, and there's also a bit of a goof in the background as they just pass through these gates. The gate behind them is now locked, so either that's a continuity goof or they got someone to unlock the gate and then relock them once they pass through. Is there even a way for people to get over there? But once they get out to the strip and it's daytime, you find there's a Deathclaw eating another. We get another full look at how well the digital effects are for the Deathclaw, as even in the daytime, it still looks composited very well into the world. Daylight, it could be a little harder to make it look matching. It's easier to do at night as you can just use lots of shadow, but in the daytime, it still holds up and it still looks great. Maximus and the Deathclaw go at it, just like we saw in the trailer. So we finally get to see someone in a power armor take on a Deathclaw, and Maximus actually handles himself surprisingly well, as we see that even in this armor, it's almost like he seems to move better and is more effective. Perhaps there's mods done to the armor to make it easier to maneuver in. Gets in a couple of slashes, then he gets his stupid arm stuck inside a car. But once his arm is stuck, the Deathclaw turns to the Ghoul, and for the first time ever, we've seen the Ghoul visibly terrified. But he takes out the Gauss rifle. Just as it's about to attack the Ghoul, Maximus decapitates it with that big old blade on his arm. Two more Deathclaws show up, and Maximus goes at them, which I'm kind of surprised. I was like, alright, he's got balls. Even just going after one, but now he's going after two. And he manages to get in a couple of more hits. As he's fighting the Deathclaw, it actually uses his tail to whip at him. So Deathclaws in Fallout 4 like to use their tail. As he's hit by the tail, he's thrown into Freeside. He slides along the ground and looks up and realizes, yeah, the strip is now breached with these Deathclaws roaring and staring at him and all the Freesiders. The ghoul gets into Mr. House's penthouse, unlocks the fusion room, and then puts the cold fusion device into the... Then he places the cold fusion into the device, which powers up the big monitor bank that we saw Rabbit House sitting in front of a few episodes earlier. And just like in Fallout New Vegas, we see Robert House's face. And just like in the New Vegas games, Robert House's digital avatar appears on screen and greets him. Cooper meets up with the president, and the president just so happens to be Clancy Brown. Clancy Brown is just the best. How can you not love Clancy Brown? Clancy Brown is also a very prolific voice actor. If you've ever seen his IMDb credits, it's huge. Played Lex Luthor, and he actually played Rhombus in Fallout. So he meets with President and Welch in the back of the car, and I immediately don't trust what's happening here. Like, how do we even know for sure that that's the president, or even what the Welch is Welch on the level here too? But he hands over the cold fusion to the president, who thanks him for doing the right thing. So what happened in those 200 years? How did it go from the president having it to the doctor from season 1 having it? So how is it it's been moved around so many different times? How the fusion got back to the doctor, which is where everything began in season 1. But I don't trust that this is even really the president, or that the president is on the up and up, just like Welch, and he's going to do the right thing with that. It's Lucy managing to get into the Vault-Tec facility using Hank's Pip-Boy, and then she's discovered Welch's severed head hooked up into one of House's brain scanning helmets. And the image of Welch reminded me a lot of The Silence of the Lambs. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm referring to. There is an opportunity for Lucy to say her classic okie dokie line. They don't really have her say that line anymore. That kind of became her phrase. Okie dokie was Lucy's phrase. And here at this exact moment, I thought she was going to say it when the camera zoomed in on her face.
Oh, Dinah.
And now here we are, the second to last episode of season 2. Insane tension pays off some threads, feels deeply fall as always, and sets up all the chaos that's about to come in episode 8. If episode 6 was the calm before the storm, episode 7 is the moment someone hit VATS, misses at 95%, and just starts a war anyways.
Now let's try that again.
Drop a comment on what you think of this episode, The Handoff. Episode 7, one episode away to the end of the season. And who do you trust at least at this? Who do you trust the least right now at this exact moment? And what do you think The Handoff really set in motion? Like, subscribe, ring that bell, and remember, war never changes, but handoffs always go wrong. Keep gaming. T-Gana.